News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. And there's your closing bell for this Wednesday on Wall Street, where 3 days of relative peace have been broken, with big tech driving major stock benchmarks lower, and President Trump poised to announce those new auto industry tariffs. We do check those closing numbers for you each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 is down 64 points. NASDAQ is down 373 points. The Dow is down 134 points. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.34%. The 2-year yield at 4.01%. And we're waiting to hear from President Trump about those automobile tariffs just any minute now. Bloomberg's David Welch says there are some questions.
The big thing is, will there be exemptions for parts, different vehicles coming in from Canada and Mexico? Those are really the big things for the car companies here, because they do bring in a lot of parts, even for vehicles assembled in the U.S. And so even if vehicles are built here, that'll drive costs up.
Bloomberg's David Welch. Minneapolis Fed President Neel Kashkari says these tariffs are causing a dramatic shift in confidence.
I've been at the Fed for 10 years, and this is the most dramatic shift in confidence that I can recall, except for when COVID hit in March of 2020. A lot of it is uncertainty around the tariffs.
Minneapolis Fed President Neel Kashkari at the Economic Summit in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. St. Louis Fed President Alberto Musalem cautioned that the impact of the tariffs may not be temporary and could lead to higher inflation.
I would be wary of assuming that the impact of tariff increases on inflation will be entirely temporary, or that a look-through strategy will necessarily be appropriate. I would be especially vigilant about indirect second-round effects on inflation.
Last week, Fed Chair Jay Powell said any inflation effects from President Trump's trade policies are likely to be transitory, although he underscored much is still unclear. The Atlantic has posted a nearly complete transcript of the Signal chat inadvertently included Editor-in-Chief Jeffrey Goldberg, showing a timetable of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Vice President J.D. Vance, and others debating attack plans in Yemen minutes before the strikes were carried out. Officials on the call have said they did not discuss anything classified. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard in her opening statement before House lawmakers.
No classified information was shared. There were no sources, methods, locations, or war plans that were shared. This was a standard update to the National Security Cabinet that was provided alongside updates that were given to foreign partners in the region.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who was also in that chat group, weighed in during his travel to Jamaica, acknowledging that mistakes were made, but the mission was never jeopardized.
Obviously, someone made a mistake. Someone made a big mistake and added a journalist. Nothing against journalists, but you ain't supposed to be on that thing. So they got on there and this happened.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren tells Bloomberg News Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth should do what a leader would do and resign.
He has put our national security at risk. That's part one. Part two is you realize a bunch of this is potentially, certainly, breaking the law. There are laws that require that people in the administration, all of them, have to preserve the records of their texting.
Also, Senator Warren is not alone in calling for Hegseth to step down or be fired. Democratic Congressman Jason Crow of Colorado says Hegseth should resign immediately. Warren adds there should also be congressional investigations and hearings. President Trump says he still has his sights on Greenland before Vice President J.D. Vance heads there at the end of this week.
We need Greenland for international safety and security. We need it. We have to have it.
The president spoke on a conservative talk show on Rumble this morning. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris, and this is Bloomberg.